Lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at Lunch. Live at Lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
For some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From Snow Seafood Steak on Airline Highway here in Gonzales. Welcome to the Thursday edition of Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff along with Max Gotro will be here with us today. Jordan Kitchen's back in the studio. The Masters is underway. Dwayne Colucci from out in Las Vegas, Matt Humans, Kenny White with us today. A lot of golf today, but also some baseball. We got SEC baseball tonight, and LSU baseball starts back up tomorrow night. Last three games of a 7-game road trip for LSU. They've taken the first three at Oklahoma, and then midweek game against Nicholls State. Tigers with 3 against Auburn starting tomorrow night. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We have some more NFL draft stuff to get to, and we'll 2 weeks away from the NFL draft. That starts 2 weeks from tonight with round number 1. Got some more thoughts. Yesterday we sort of did the Shedeur Sanders exercise. We'll talk about some of the other things that the Saints may be up to when we get to that segment. But the Masters started off this morning. Of course, ceremonial first tee shots, always fun to watch. Jack come out, Jack Nicklaus, of course, and Gary Player, Tom Watson come out to do the ceremonial first balls. And then when you start this thing, you get a lot of the former champions that are really not guys that are going to be in contention anymore, teeing off through the first hour of the tournament. But the big guns started to get out there about an hour and a half later. Your leader right now, Aaron Rai, at 4 under par, made the turn at 4 under. Stefan Jaeger also at 4 under. Through 9, Joaquin Niemann. We're starting to see some of the live guys. He is 2 under through 7. Scotty Scheffler in one of the feature groups, of course, here on Thursday. He got out at 2 under through the first 6, along with Tyrell Hatton. I'm going to enjoy watching guys, some of the former champs up at the top of the leaderboard, because I know it's not going to last, but cool to see Freddie Couples. He's 1 under on the front 9, 65-year-old Freddie Couples. We've seen him and Bernard Longer, and in the past, Jose Maria Olazabal, maybe maybe a veteran or two that sticks around longer than you think that they will. That's kind of cool. Again, I know it's not going to last, but Freddie Couples made the turn at 1 under par. Patrick Reed also at 1 under par. Another former champion, Jordan Spieth, who does he's not in that older group. He figures to be around for the weekend. Cabrera, with the aforementioned, he is 1 under early in the tournament. Bernard Longer playing his final Masters at 67 is even par through 12. Some of our consensus picks, Minwoo Lee was one of the guys that Wes Reynolds gave us. He's off to an even start through 7. Colin Morikawa, who is a popular choice, is even par through. He is just getting through 7. Sam Burns, the former LSU golfer, is the final golfer is in the final group to tee off today. So we got a lot of stuff coming from the Masters today. And, of course, we are here at Snow Seafood and Steak, one of our favorite places to come. And today, the beef tenderloin kebabs on special today, along with the black and mahi salad. Blood orange vinaigrette on that tomorrow if you're coming out to Snow's, the final weekend before the Easter weekend. If you're still observing Lent, Zapp's catfish, the fresh catfish with the mustard batter and the golden brown finish. They got a jalapeno tartar sauce, which is quite good if you like a little spice to it. So we would invite you to come out here. We're in the patio. The weather is phenomenal out here. Love to be on the patio here at Snows when the weather permits, and the weather is definitely permitting today. So we hope that you can make it in your plans to come out and see us and spend a little time here this afternoon. We're going to enjoy watching the golf most of the afternoon, I can promise you. We talked a little bit yesterday again about the Saints' needs. One of the things that has been a popular thing for the Saints is that they'll take the best player available. Best player available is something that gets thrown around a lot, but it's, I would say more times than not, it's not true. It's not that you're going to go for the best player available. You're going to go for the best player at a position that you need. And I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Last year, the best player in the draft was Jaden Daniels. The next best player, the next most productive player in the draft was Brock Bowers, who had a record-setting season at tight end for the Raiders. But Bowers didn't go till number 12. The picks in between that were made for need quarterbacks. Was Bowers better than Caleb Williams last year? Yeah, he was. Was he better than Drake May? Yeah, he was. Was he better even than Malik Neighbors? Yeah, he was. But would those teams go back and trade the guys that they had at more important positions? No, they wouldn't. And even the teams that took offensive linemen in that front, whether it be Olafashanu from the Jets, those guys feel very necessary position needs. But the Saints' best player available might actually have some legs this year. And the reason I say that is there are needs at so many different positions for New Orleans that taking the best player available regardless of need, because they pretty much need anything. Do they need a corner? Yes. Do they need help on the offensive line? Yes. Do they need pass rushing help? Yes. Do they need a little bit of depth at linebacker? Yes. Do they need another wide receiver because they've had injury problems at that position? Yes. Do they need to get younger at running back? Yes. Could they use another tight end? Tyler Warren, I think, would be a really interesting pick at number 9. Yeah, they do. So New Orleans actually may be able to take the best player available, regardless. If Mason Graham were to somehow slide to him, that'd be a wonderful thing. Would they actually be able to take the best player available? Now, that's if I was drafting. That's if a lot of other GMs were drafting. With this particular general manager, usually they focus in on one player, and if they have to trade up to get him, they will do that. Is that player in this draft Shadur Sanders? Do they feel like they have to move up a couple of spots to ensure that nobody trades into a spot in front of them? Does it mean that they've got to go out and get, maybe Tyler Warren is their guy and he's one of one? There's only one guy like him in the draft. Do they feel like they've got to trade up to get him? Is Mason Graham that guy? How would you feel if they moved up 3 or 4 spots to ensure drafting Mason Graham, the best interior defensive lineman in this draft? I can tell you, I wouldn't feel good about them moving up for anybody, because I don't know that there's a franchise player that's going to save New Orleans available in this draft. Nobody's going to save them. They've got so many needs that they need to build around that I'm not really for trading up for anybody, even players I like. And Graham certainly qualifies as a player that I like. We've got a lot of picks, which, again, sometimes the Saints go into drafts without draft capital that they've moved in previous trades. This year, they've got a little bit of extra draft capital. They've got an extra third-round pick. They've got some compensatory picks that they could move up. So, as always, we're one little small hitch in the draft away from the Saints moving up. So we'll get into a little bit more Saints stuff later on in the show. We're getting close to the draft. I know this because Mel Kiper's on my TV an awful lot right now. So we know we're getting close to the NFL draft. Again, we're at Snow Seafood and Steak, Airline Highway at 74 in Gonzales. Thursday, lunch special, the beef tenderloin kebabs marinated and skewered with fresh vegetables, grilled with a lemon vinaigrette sauce on top of rice topped with feta cheese, and the blackened mahi salad with the blood orange vinaigrette, strips of mahi blackened, served on a lettuce blend with strawberries, pickled red onions, cucumbers, goat cheese, and sweet and spicy spicy pecans that's here at Snow's Seafood and Steak. Take a break. Live at Snow's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Harper's Haberdashery, my man Sam Willard over at Harper's on Highland Road, right next to French Market Bistro. He's been outfitting men in Baton Rouge about as long as Charlie and I have been running a mouth here on sports radio in this market. So wedding season, prom season has come to a close for the most part. But it's got a great selection of summer warm weather inventory. So go by and check out my man Sam Willard at Harper's Haberdashery. Again, on Highland Road, right next to French Market Bistro.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
And we return here at Snow's on the outdoor patio area, enjoying the fantastic weather. We're also brought to you today by the Thibodaux Store, 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodaux. Getting your lawn, your garden, your outdoor area in shape right now. Let the Thibodaux Store help. Up to 55% off a select lawn and garden items right now. All of your hoses, all of your garden tools, all of your wheelbarrows, all of your wagons, all of your seeders, your fertilizers, your weed killers, all of those things available right now on the website, doitbest.com/Thibodaux Store. Potting soil, spreaders, and seeders. You're going to be able to get your yard in shape, and they'll be able to help you out and save some money at the same time. Once you get the yard in shape, you want to enjoy that outdoor area. Huge selection of grills, including the big green egg cookers for the ultimate cooking experience. You can get those at the Thibodaux Store. Again, 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodaux. Also, right now, your shop vacs are on special right now. Some of these up to 70% off at the website. Again, doitbest.com/Thibodaux Store. Also, their sister property in Pierre Part, the Pierre Part Store, in business for over 113 years. Quick update from the Masters. We're going to be doing this all day. Stefan Jaeger at 4 under par is your leader. Aaron Rai has dropped a stroke back to 3 under. Scotty Scheffler, Joaquin Niemann, Terrell Hatton, and now Matt McCarty all at 2 under par. Some of the other names that are just teeing off here in the last, or just about to tee off here, include former champions Dustin Johnson, Sergio Garcia. Also, one of our consensus choices in Patrick Cantlay is going off here in just a few minutes. Brooks Koepka here in about 20 minutes will be going off. So we'll keep you up to date on what's going on at the Masters. Baseball tonight in the Southeastern. Can I get the one thing out of my head that I've heard all morning? Have you been able to watch anything or listen to anything without catching some of the Fire Nico stuff? I've seen bad reactions to trades before, but I don't think I've ever seen one quite as bad, and it's justified. If you caught the scene in Dallas last night for Luka Doncic's return with the Lakers last night, brought him to tears in the pregame during the introduction with the video that they had. I know I've never seen, for all of the times we've seen promotional stuff done, they hand out shirts, they hand out shakers, they hand out signage, whatever. I don't think I've ever seen a franchise hand out stuff for an opponent. And what they had was in Serbian, to Slovenia, was thanks for everything. T-shirts handed out to all of the Mavericks fans for a guy that now plays for the Lakers. For his part, Nico spent most of the game in the tunnel. They caught some glimpses of him, but he wasn't really visible to most of the stands. Between that, oh, by the way, Doncic had 45 points in the Lakers win. I've never seen a game where there was so much, I guess it felt like, this was me watching it, remorse from the franchise that traded him. The fans didn't want him to go. He didn't want to really be traded. The coach was, I don't want to say was completely left in the dark, but didn't really seem like he was cheerleading for this trade. And the one guy that really wanted to do this, talk about a man without a country, is kind of hiding back in the tunnel. Dallas is doing tributes to him. They've got guys. There was one guy yesterday put a Doncic jersey on and ran 77 laps around the arena in honor of his number 77. That's how much they didn't want him to. And the constant trend. The only thing that comes close to me is when Edmonton traded Wayne Gretzky. And I'm not really a big hockey guy, so I can't. That was because the owner was in all kinds of trouble. This was just one of those. It was a bizarre scene last night in Dallas, I thought. Baseball tonight in the Southeastern Conference. I don't think they had this when they drew it up exactly that it was going to plan out this way. Florida's playing Missouri and Texas A&M's playing South Carolina. The combined records of these teams are 6-42. Florida at 1-11, Missouri at 0-12. That's one of the games tonight in the SEC. The other one, Texas A&M at 3-9. Is a preseason number one team in some polls. And South Carolina, Paul Maneri's team struggling in his first season. They are 2-10. So the four bottom teams in the Southeastern Conference are what's playing tonight. But for LSU, they're 3 games with what is a pretty good Auburn team that is 6-6 in the conference so far, but they have been particularly tough at home. The last 3 games against Alabama, they won 2 out of 3 there. They won 2 out of 3 against what is a good Vanderbilt team earlier on. They've even had a decent run on the road. They took a series at Kentucky. The only problem that they ran into was they lost all 3 games. 3 pretty competitive games, I would say, at Georgia. This is a very scrappy Auburn team. You're going to see Sam Dutton tomorrow night. The former LSU pitcher is on Friday nights for them. The 3 games they lost at Georgia, they lost a game that got away from them late in the second game, 11-7. They lost the first game 4-1, and they lost the third game in 10 innings when Georgia got loose for 3 runs in the 10th. But this has been a pretty good group. Team that's hitting is very, very close to what not exactly close to what LSU has done average-wise, but you look at the run production, very close towards the top of the standings. The pitching has been pretty good, kind of in the middle of the pack, and their fielding numbers are exactly what's on top of LSU at about 978. So this is one of those spots for LSU. The games, I'm not going to tell you that any of these games are crucial. LSU set themselves up in such a position now where at 10-2 in the league, they have built up a little bit of a cushion. And what you're really looking for is what gets you into the top 8. Well, in the RPIs, I think getting them into the top 8 is going to be a relatively, I don't want to say easy, but you've got some slack in the rope right now. LSU at number 5 currently. We usually don't start to look at these for another couple of weeks, but just kind of to give you an idea, LSU just playing against Tennessee and Alabama and Arkansas, who are all top 8 teams right now, is going to give them enough of an RPI cushion to where if they just get to, I think even 19-11 would do it, a 500 go the rest of the way. And you've got 3 games against South Carolina. You've got 3 games against Texas A&M, who those teams have struggled. So I'm not going to say any of these games are crucial. You're just trying to get to a certain point where you get to, again, 19 wins ought to do it. 20 wins would do it for sure in terms of a top 8 national seed. Now, what you are hoping to do is continue the development of the depth on this team. You know, you've got your 3 starting pitchers. Well, Anderson can't do any better than he did last week. You've seen Anthony Ianson and Chase Shores both continue to progress, get a little bit deeper into games, a little bit better feel. I think in the case of Ianson for the competition level in the Southeastern Conference, and for Shores, he continues, 2 years post-surgery, continues to build a little bit of stamina, getting deeper into games, a little bit better feel, a little bit better command. You got your 2 aces out of the bullpen in Kason Evans and Zach Cowan. You know that those guys can go multiple times through the order. So what you're trying to get now is to build a little confidence with a couple more guys. Maybe it's William Schmidt. He's coming off of a terrific outing in Thibodeau earlier this week. Maybe towards the back end of this series he gets in for a short stint. Maybe it's Connor Ware, who also pitched in the game on Tuesday night. You get a little bit out of him. Jaden Newt is another strong candidate, I think, to be a trusted middle relief guy when they get deep into the season, the second half of Southeastern Conference play. You'd like to see Connor Benj. They keep running Connor Benj out there. The velocity is there. The stuff is there. He's been a little bit inconsistent, but if he's a guy that you can count on, just get you a couple of outs, not these long outings, just a little bit more there. You continue to see Tanner Reeves over at third base, but you're going to see a little bit of Michael Braswell. You're going to see still a little bit of a rotation among the outfield. They've got everything. They really do. And I usually don't feel that way about the team at this point. We're still a few days short of tax day, like Skip says. I usually feel like, man, they got to get this fixed or it's going to be a real big problem. They got to fill this hole. This one guy's got to step up. They've got enough right now here in the beginning of April to make a deep, deep run and maybe win the whole thing, even if nothing else gets fixed. That's why I like this team so much. Not only are they good enough to win right now, if they get any better, there's nobody in the country, nobody in the league that you're going to go and say, man, that team's better than LSU. I've seen all the top teams. I've seen Arkansas. I've seen Georgia. I know they lost the series at Texas, but that was a very even series. It's baseball, okay? Games can go either way when you play teams that are comparable talent-wise, but I don't see anybody that's definitely better than them. Somebody that I go, man, just stay out of the way of that Tennessee a couple of years ago, when they had that 51-5 regular season. You say, steer around those guys. I think teams are going to want to steer around LSU. And that's why I feel really good about this team, not to mention the fact that once you get past this series with Auburn, 3 of your next 4 series are at home. LSU with a home record of 22-1 right now. You think it's going to be hard to come in the box and have somebody take even somebody really, really good, like a Tennessee. I think it's going to be pretty hard to come in here and take a series. I'm certainly of that opinion. So LSU against Auburn tomorrow night should be a competitive series. The Tigers can get that series. They're going to be set up as pretty as you please going into the second part of the SEC season. We're brought to you by Louisiana Health and Injury Centers, helping you deal with pain. Dr. Michael Goff and his staff done a great job for me and my family. So back pain, neck pain, muscle soreness, things that are keeping you from getting around as well as you want, restricting your motion, or maybe keeping you from getting a good night's sleep. Let them target those problem areas and help you out. Sometimes it's as easy as just getting things loosened up with a series of exercises and stretches. Some days it's going to require electric nerve stimulation, cryotherapy, an ultrasound therapy, a dry needle, whatever it is. They're going to figure out what's wrong with you. They're going to get you to feeling better. Airline Highway, Plank Road, Jefferson Highway, near Drusilla. Dr. Michael Goff, Louisiana Health and Injury Centers. We'll take a break. Dwayne Colucci joins us from Las Vegas here. Snow, Seafood, and Steak, Airline at 74 in Gonzales, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Workbox Services can handle all of your movable storage needs, commercial and residential. Our shipping containers come in various sizes, 8x10, 8x8, 8x20, 8x40, not just one size. These units can be customized for any use. Custom lunchrooms, offices, work sites for plumbers or welders, dual purpose, part office, part storage, climate control, shelving, lighting, using different materials, whatever you need. Give my buddy Martin Padiello, Workbox, a call at 343-4886, workboxllc.com.
It's time. It's now Colucci time. Dwayne Colucci is back to give his best picks on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And we welcome you back in here at Snow's Seafood and Steak Airline at 74 in Gonzales. Jimmy out on vacation all week, but we got it, Colucci. We can handle a segment, I think, with Jimmy over in Europe, right?
Without a doubt. I mean, Charlie, forget about it. How many segments have you and I done? And I remember I used to love Hanny Time there. What was that, on Tuesdays at like 12? We got to get that.
Yeah, we would do it.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a great show, and hopefully this year you got to get me on that LSU after show.
Yeah. Oh, look. Oh, yeah. You want a piece of the post game show? It'd actually be a reasonable time out in Vegas with the time change. Before I get to some of what's going on right now, let me jump back real quick to Monday night and what kind of handle you guys did, what kind of action you had on the national championship game. The game ended up almost right on the number, which I think was 1.5. A lot of plays you can tell what you guys did had the South Point and the Rampart, and Florida behind for most of the game ends up getting the win, and in most places to cover right there at the end.
Yeah, it was close. I'll tell you the truth. We were close again, Charlie, to getting sided possibly. If Florida wins that game by 1, then we start to, it becomes a nightmare, basically, because all that early money when we opened it on Florida would push if it lands on 1, and then you're paying out all that Houston Sharp money that pulled it down to pick 'em. So, the game moved like a heartbeat between anywhere from pick 'em to 1, 1.5, like you said. Tremendous two-way action on the game. And we did have a slight liability on Florida in the futures market, but a lot of the sharps came in and pounded Houston, and, it was a fabulous, fabulous game. The outcome was, a little down the stretch. Houston started to make mistakes, which you don't like to see. You'd like to see them at full, force going back and forth, but definitely Sampson had his team ready to play, but not late in the game, I'll be honest with you. He made a few coaching errors, in my opinion. They had a huge lead, and, when you squander a huge lead, Charlie, in a championship game, that definitely will weigh on him the whole off season. But a tremendous showing by both teams. The SEC, naturally was strong as we felt. That's why we had the proposition SEC versus the field at the Rampart and South Point. And we didn't do too bad on that wager as well, because a lot of, people started to sense that you could have a Final Four SEC matchup and an outside team making it other than an SEC team. So, handicappers, they have their formulas. They look at things from all angles, and it was tremendously bet. The handle was very good, and it was great, great two-way action. And especially because we had that 105 big, we had a lot of straight bets, so that's what I like. When you don't have that many parlays, and most of them parlays were knocked down by Duke, money line parlays and all that with them losing, it definitely becomes a favorable scenario leading into the championship game, and we're trying to generate handle from the straight bets, and that's what we got.
Was the slight edge on the SEC as far as the amount of money on the SEC or on the field?
Yeah, slight amount on the SEC. The SEC was strong all year. I mean, top to bottom, you look at those teams, whether it was Tennessee, Alabama, Auburn, Florida, there was a plethora. I mean, how many made the tournament, Charlie? And you're right based in that neck of the woods, and it's just become such a popular conference, and it was led by football, and now it's transpiring into basketball, which is just tremendous for the southeast portion of the country, and it definitely creates large handle. There's a lot of consumers and gamblers in your neck of the woods, so we enjoy seeing these SEC teams play at a high level, and it's always exciting because they bring a consistency and they bring it each and every game, which definitely adds to the tournament. Unfortunately, a lot of people were looking for that Cinderella, but it really didn't transpire this year. You had the cream of the crop playing at a top level, and they just continued to play that way throughout the tournament. Very few upsets. Maybe you have to go back to, and, even Arkansas beating St. John's. Tremendous coaching rivalry there, and you knew St. John's, a little nervous going in because it's their first time in the Big Dance for how many years, even though Coach Pitino had them playing at a great level. That was one of the few upsets that was early on in the tournament. But overall, a fabulous showing by the SEC, and that they definitely attracted major attention in the markets, and especially with that wager.
Yeah, about 10 years ago, the league decided that they wanted to start pouring some resources into men's basketball like they do in every other sport. Why it took them so long, it still baffles me. And some schools, we won't mention any names, have gone kind of kicking and screaming into spending some money on the sport. But when the SEC decides they want to be good in something, they are, and they put their resources into it, and they'll be good. When they don't care, then it can slide back, and we've seen both of those things. And now they've decided. I think all 16 teams now decide they want to be good. Have we get the last two decide they want to be good, Max. I shouldn't. We beat this subject to death, but it seems like LSU has finally coming to the party. So we're happy about that. Hey, Kaluch, what kind of liabilities you guys got on Scotty Scheffler at the as we watch him birdie number 8 and pull within a shot of the lead here early in the first round? What kind of Masters action you got? Do you have a big liability on Scheffler?
We have some liability, I'll be honest with you, but here at the Rampart, we have so many different consumers because we're right basically on top of the TPC golf course. It becomes where we have so many different angles, people betting, tremendous amounts, and so many different golfers listed by Chris Andrews. So, Scheffler was very popular in the market, obviously. This guy's a great golfer. So, yeah, there's some liability, but we spread it out pretty good. I'll be honest with you, at the Rampart and South Point, several golfers merited, some good wagering attraction here at the Rampart, and I'm sure at Chris's as well. Scheffler, in the matchups, he was minus 165 against Rory, so we set that pretty nice. 175 against Colin Morikawa. He definitely is the focal point, so we had several matchups as well as, some liability on him to win the tournament. But anything can happen. You know how the Masters is. You know how golf tournaments are. Top to bottom, everybody has an opinion, especially at this specific tournament, and it's always cool, to see everybody come out and have their different opinion. I'll be honest with you, I love it. I find it very exciting, and look forward to it because we put these odds up, Charlie, a year almost ahead of time. So we've been taking action for months and months and months, and like I said, it's spread out pretty good. But Scheffler, he is one of the liabilities that we are facing. We also have McIlroy he closed at 3.5 to 1. He took a ton of action. He actually was our ticket count leader heading into the opening round here. And not surprising. I mean, he's played well. Victor Hovland was very popular here at the Rampart and South Point. A little liability on Victor, and, definitely Justin Thomas had a high ticket count. I'm looking at it and surveying now, but nothing like Rory. Rory was the highest. Aberg also was very popular, but only liability on certain golfers. Justin Thomas, it's real close, and the other golfers I mentioned, but otherwise we're sitting pretty solid.
Are there? I'm curious. The amount of I'm gonna call them creative parlays. Scheffler with the Dodgers, to win the World Series. I mean, you get the best baseball team, the best golfer with the Celtics or the Thunder, the Cavs. You're laughing. Are you taking some of that action, or am I just imagining this?
Chris might throw a good customer a bone. I'll be honest with you, but we're not into that. We leave that for the bigger corporations for the $5 tickets that can pay $1.5 million. You don't want to have and leave yourself open to that large liability. Not with the Dodgers so much, Charlie, because the Dodgers are a short price. And, if you parlay Scheffler and the Dodgers, we're going to take a little action on that. But, nothing if you're looking to get on one of these 30 to 1 like Hovland or Jordan Spieth, then, you're picking a Final Four team or to make the Final Four at 40, 50 to 1 like Florida was. You could subject yourself to massive liability. And we're brick-and-mortar shops. We can't have Mr. Gorn or, Michelle McHugh leaning on my neck. How can we lose this much on a $5 parlay? So, we see these comical parlays out there. And, that's what DraftKings, FanDuel, all the major corporations, they're going to hang their hat on advertising that they are suffering this liability, but I don't want to brag about any liability, Charlie. Losing $1.5 million.
No, thanks. I got it. Yeah, that's a pass. NBA play-in starts next week. We've seen some bizarre things. Coach firings just in the last couple of weeks from playoff teams like Denver and Memphis. But the play-in start next week. Any motion going with the futures, with the playoffs, or anything like that as you guys gear up for about 2 months of NBA playoff postseason action?
Yeah, it's going to be real exciting. And, the Laker fans are out now because they're on the cusp of making the playoffs. Probably not going to be in the play-in as well because Luke is playing at a fabulous level. That was a very exciting scenario last night. But, it's going to be – it seems like the East is already set, Charlie. We take tons of Cavalier and Celtic money, some Knick money here and there, but those seem to be the two top teams. Western Conference, that play-in scenario is a cluster. So anybody is capable. I mean, you have so many teams that are involved. Timberwolves are currently sitting in the 8. I mean, and they're 46-33. You're talking about a team 13 games over 500, 6-4 in their last 10. Now, in the futures market, it's been somewhat spread out. Everybody knew the Thunder was going to be strong. I have a nice ticket on the Rockets. I anticipated them to massively improve this year, which they have. They're playing at a good level, 7-3 in their last 10, even though they lost their last game. So we've seen some Rocket money, but definitely the Lakers are one of the focal teams when you are dealing with the futures market of the NBA. And, it always seems to be like that. Currently, we have the Thunder at minus 150 to win the Western Conference. So everybody has sniffed them out. They've definitely been one of the stronger teams. Also, we have the Warriors 5-1, Lakers 3.5-1, like I said. And this is just to win the NBA Western Conference. But, if you shop around, look at the Rockets, 40-1. No disgrace there. They definitely have a massive chance. And so far, low ticket count. So I think you get a lot of value here at the Rampart and South Point on them. As I spoke about, the NBA championship, a different story. Thunder plus 175, Celtics 2-1. Those are the two focal teams everybody's pounding. Then you go to the Cavs 5-1, and the Lakers and so forth 7-1, and Warriors at 9-1. So Lakers are always going to be a major attraction here and have the highest kick count.
Let me speak more your language. The NHL, a week left in the regular season. A week from today is the end of the regular season. Anything either tonight or in the last week that you're looking at saying, hey, you know what, that's a good spot here as we not just the NBA playoffs, but the NHL playoffs are about to start as well?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I think the Rangers have totally packed it in. Even though they saved Shesterkin for tonight, Charlie, they're going to get pounded by the Islanders. I'll lay the 120. The Rangers, they just seem disheartened. You give up like 8 goals last night against a Philadelphia Flyer team who parted ways with John Tortorella and basically gave up. Definitely I think the Islanders will win this game. Montreal still has to win games. They're not playing tonight, but they've been at an incredible level right now. And great news for Montreal Canadian fans. Ivan Demidov has been signed. The KHL scoring leader is going to join this club. They have such a youthful presence, Charlie, and they're playing at a top level now. It's good to see Montreal in the playoffs. That's great for NHL hockey when you're talking at any level. Suspect line tonight, if you're reading the line, watch out. The Hurricanes are minus 155. Washington might be a little flat because they're still celebrating Alex Ovechkin's great accomplishment. When you're seeing a road team come into Washington and it's 155, Carolina, I like Carolina in that spot. They're definitely going to come to play. We're going to take Washington action just because the line seems a little out of whack, but I think Carolina is the right side. Charlie Lindgren will be between the pipes tonight for the Washington Capitals. So I'll take a chance there. And, it's not really taking a chance. We're laying 155 on the road. So I think Carolina and the Islanders are two sharp plays tonight.
You're the best, Kaluch, man. We always appreciate your time. Jimmy will be back next week. We'll get into it with him, I'm sure. But enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the Masters. And we'll talk to you next Thursday.
Definitely, Charlie. I really appreciate it. Have a great Thursday.
All right, Dwayne Colucci out at the South Point and the Rampart. We're brought to you in part by Coastal Capital Advisors, your full-service financial planners. When it comes to retirement, no two situations alike, so let Coastal Capital Advisors work for you. No matter where you are in life, whether your age or your income level, they'll tailor-make a plan that is going to work for you. It's a lifetime partnership. It has been for me. And, at times where the market gets a little bit volatile, they can talk to you about your options, get the information that you need. Obviously, it was a lot more fun the last couple of days than it was last week. But just talking with Phil, and they've got their arms around it. They know what's going on They'll be able to tell you what it means for you. Let them work for you the way they work for us. 337-981-1376. Online, it's coastalcapitaladv.com. Advisory services provided by New Age Advisors, member FINRA, SIPC. We'll take a break, come back, get you up to date on what's going on at Augusta. We're at Snow Seafood and Steak Airline Highway in Gonzales. Gorgeous weather out here on the patio. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Windows, doors, siding, and shutters, Relief Windows has it all for you. Your homeowners association require wood windows. We're proud to be the premier gelled wood windows company at Relief Windows. These wooden windows combine the beauty of real wood with high-tech energy efficiency features for all climate zones, specially built for extreme weather conditions here in South Louisiana. Built using RLS wood, gelled windows come with a 20-year general warranty and a lifetime limited warranty against rot and termites, providing years of beauty and minimal maintenance. Sure wish I'd known about these gel windows from Relief Windows at the original construction of my home. Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Beautiful weather out here on the patio at Snow Seafood and Steak. Max, we have an update from Augusta. If Scotty Scheffler's hitting 62-foot putts, might be rough going for the rest of the field.
Yeah, scary sign. 62-foot putt for birdie made on the par 3 fourth hole, which always plays difficult, the longest par 3 on the golf course. So that is a scary sign. He is 3 under, making the turn to the second 9. I will be sure to say second 9 because they'll get mad at you if you say back 9 at Augusta. They're
Why?
very specific. I don't know. It's just kind of their thing. Apparently, what I heard is...
I know about fans and patrons. I know about rough and second cut. Now back is off the table as well?
As I heard it described one way this week in my much Masters content that I took in, they did not like, the idea of going, now they go to the backside. Backside sounds a little, harsh.
Well, backside and back 9 are different. I mean, I wouldn't think they would have. Sometimes they're a little too stuffy.
Yes.
But anyway,
whatever.
On.
It's just what it is. So he's going to the second 9, 3 under par.
Going to hole 10. How's
just
that?
Just one back of Steven Yeager, who is on the gettable par 5, 13th. He's in the fairway, so we could see that lead expand for a short time. Tyrrell Hatton as well is 3 under par. Live golfer who has not been playing particularly well as of late. He was really playing well in Live at the end of last year, but kind of off to a slow start. It's a little surprising considering his public criticisms of this golf course. And how about this? This is a guy who I'm very much rooting for because I have him first-round leader. 3 under through 3 holes is Justin Rose. His first-round history here is very impressive. If you remember, Charlie Hoffman had a tendency to get out to first-round leads here at the Masters, even when he wasn't particularly playing well. You'd be like, wow, Charlie Hoffman, and he would disappear by the end of the tournament. Justin Rose, in 19 appearances at the Masters, has been first-round leader 4 times. He's been in the top 5 7 times, and he's already off to 3 birdies in 3 holes, so we'll see if he can keep that going in the first round. Again, not a guy who's particularly playing well at the moment, but tends to find some magic here in the first round at Augusta.
Hey, how come Tyrrell Hatton can say Augusta sucks, but nobody else can say back 9? I mean, that doesn't seem fair. I can understand it since they made Jason Day change clothes.
They did.
They didn't like his sweater at all.
I'm curious to see what he's wearing.
I didn't really like the sweater either.
He's through 9 holes. It was a little loud, but that's what Malbon does. That's who he dresses him up. I've been so into the Masters gear. I know what half these guys are going to wear this week. Oberg's got a good little kit going this week.
I'm not much into fashion tips, okay, as you can tell, but I wasn't crazy about what he wore last year either. Hour number 2, straight ahead here at Snow Seafood and Steak on Airline at 74 in Gonzales. Live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Back here at Snow's Seafood and Steak, where today the beef tenderloin kebabs on your lunch menu specials. The cubed beef tenderloins marinated and skewered with fresh vegetables, grilled with lemon vinaigrette, and on top of rice and feta cheese. Also the blackened mahi salad with the blood orange vinaigrette dressing, with the lettuce blend, strawberries, pickled red onions, cucumbers, goat cheese, and sweet and spicy pecans here at Snow Seafood and Steak. If you're observing Lent tomorrow, the Zapp's Catfish will be on the lunch menu. Let's go back out to Las Vegas. Matt Humans from VSiN with us. Matt, how did you enjoy or not enjoy or come out on Monday night when Florida won the national title?
Hey, by the way, I'm ready for lunch now after that description of those beef tenderloin kebabs.
We keep inviting you guys. Man. Y'all are welcome anytime. We will feed you down here. I promise.
It's a long trip. Eventually, maybe during football season. Monday night, I thought it was a kind of a bizarre game. Monday night, it wasn't really well played. Pretty sloppy game. The shooting was 3-point shooting was terrible at the outset, and then the officiating really skewed the game in the second half. 4 fouls called in the first half and 25 in the second half, and just felt like the officials got together at halftime and said, "Hey, we're not calling anything. Now we got to call everything, and we got to get more involved." And I thought that was unfortunate, but Houston just choked at the end, kind of the way Duke did against Houston 2 days before that. The last 4 turnovers or last 4 possessions for the Cougars were all turnovers, and then that final possession was just ridiculous. So. It turned out well for me, I guess, for the most part. I had Florida futures at 10-1, and I had Florida in the game, and I had the under 141. So all that worked out, but I'm not throwing a party, Hanny, because I had a lot tied up in Duke futures, and Duke winning the whole thing would have been much better for me.
Well, let's play a hypothetical here, and then we'll move on to some other things. Mm-hmm. If they call the game the entire way, the way they did in the first half, who wins? Or if they call the game the way they did in the second half the entire way, who wins?
Well, if you look at the free throw shooting, I think Florida outscored Houston by 10 points at the free throw line, and most of that's in the second half. So if you call the game the whole way like that, Florida's going to win because Florida kept going to the free throw line. But I don't know, I just didn't like the way the game was called in the second half. You want consistency from officiating. Call it the same way the whole time. It's like the Super Bowl. We talk about this, right? The officials like to stay out of the way in the Super Bowl. They don't call offensive holding as much. They just kind of let the teams play. And I thought that's the way the championship games should have been. I love basketball. It's a beautiful game. The only thing that spoils it sometimes are the refs.
I agree with you on the Florida part about the end of the second half. I think if there's no way to know, okay? But I think if they keep calling it the way they call it in the first half, I think Houston would have won the game. I think it would have, it would have tightened up a little bit, but I think they would have won the game. And it's on them. They go 4 possessions without getting a shot, up. So it's on them. But I could have lived with it. It's not like I was complaining the whole way because it was a close game. I would have been fine with them calling the way they call the game in the first half. I could have lived with the way they call the game in the second half. The way that they call the game one way in the first half and one way in the second half is bothersome. But what are you going to do? And I almost am with you with what they said at halftime to each other, which is, hey, we've got all these. It's almost like we got fouls to give. Okay, we're not going to get anybody in foul trouble in the first 4 minutes, so we can call a lot of other things. So I wasn't wild about that. We'll stay on basketball here for just a second because the NBA play-in start next week. What are you thinking, either futures or first round? I know the matchups aren't set yet, but some of your initial thoughts going into the postseason in the NBA.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I couldn't care less. I think seriously,
there's a lot of people here feel the same way.
Yeah. I've lost a lot of interest in the NBA. I used to be a big NBA fan, NBA better. The game's just not much fun to watch anymore. I'm tired of LeBron. I'm tired of his flopping, laying on the floor after he barely gets bumped, laying on the floor for 5 minutes, acting like a baby. I did make one bet at the All-Star break. I bet the Warriors to make the playoffs. And at that point, I think they were in the 9 spot or something like that. And right now, they need to avoid the play-in, so they need to stay top 6 in the West. And that's kind of the main thing I've been paying attention to. I've been watching the Warriors pretty closely because look how tight that playoff race is in the West between like the 4th and the 8th or 9 spots. It's crazy how tight it is in the West. And I think my biggest question is are the Western Conference playoffs going to be the Oklahoma City Invitational? Is there a team that can take down the Thunder in the West? I thought it was bizarre that Denver Nuggets fired Michael Malone this week. It's very strange timing to make a coaching change like that, especially a guy who's led the Nuggets to a winning record in 8 straight years and has won a championship. So, there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes in the NBA with the egos and, the business part of it that I could do without. And I'm just not that intrigued by this by the NBA product right now. It feels like the Celtics, it's the East is the Celtics to lose and the West is the Thunders to lose, and it feels like we're headed for an OKC Boston finals. I don't know if it's going to be that easy, but that's what it looks like right now.
And that is the overwhelming sentiment here. We've got a franchise that has been stuck in the mud for, it seems like, forever. And the regular season product, I'm like you. I used to be a much bigger NBA fan. I'll watch in the playoffs. But the regular season's a hard sell for me. It's not just the style of play, which you talked about. I'll be honest, if we're doing a show at this time of day and there's a tip-off at 6:30 our time, a lot of times at noon, we don't know who's going to play. Well, you don't find out until, an hour before the game that there's, going to be some star out. This was one of the more bizarre things I saw the other night, this game between the Warriors and the Nuggets. They didn't rule Jamal Murray out until about 30 minutes before the game. Well, the odds changed drastically. They were offering more on cash outs before the game even started than the initial bets after they found out Murray. So even the books got caught flat-footed a little bit with that. And I'll watch in the playoffs, but in the regular season, it's a hard sell. Where are you on the Masters? We're in the middle of round number 1. Scotty Scheffler, part of a 3-way tie for the lead. Your thoughts about this and where you may jump? Wes Reynolds told us yesterday, he says, if Rory's within 3 shots of the lead after 1, I'm jumping in, but I'm going to be cautious before that. What do you got going on the Masters?
Now we're talking. I'm into the Masters. I'm actually pretty fired up about it. You got a lot of bets on this tournament this week. I did play Scheffler as an insurance policy, plus 475, because I obviously played some longer shots. And I said, hey, if all this blows up and Scotty Scheffler goes, to Augusta and dominates like he's capable of doing, then I'll wish I had bet Scheffler at plus 475. Somebody asked me yesterday, how can you do that? How can you bet Scheffler at that price? I said, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you a call Saturday night when Scheffler is near the top of the leaderboard and his price is, minus 110 or minus 150, and then I'll ask you, did you wish you would have bet Scheffler at plus 475, right? And that's how you can justify betting the price, because he's probably going to be up there on the weekend. I talked to a friend of mine who actually lives in Louisiana, was a really good college golfer, lives down the road from you, and I asked him, who do you think is going to win this week? He said, I think Scheffler's going to win. I think he's going to win by a lot. Only Jack Nicklaus has won the Masters 3 times in 4 years. But Scheffler's certainly capable of it. He was second in Houston a couple weeks ago, and you can see he's getting his form back. He has not won yet in 2025. I'm watching golf. I've been watching it all morning, and Scheffler looks good. He's off to a hot start. He's going to be tough to beat this week. And in addition to Scheffler, I bet Joaquin Niemann at 42-1. He's up there near the top right now. I took a couple long shots. Bet Shane Lowry, 45-1. Let's see, Russell Henley, 55-1. Sepp Straka, I think it's 77-1. And I bet Justin Rose, who's got a really strong track record at Augusta, I bet Rose at 125-1. I think he birdied the first 2 holes. I was watching right before you called me.
First 3.
I said,
First 3.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So Rose at 125-1 was my longest shot. I said, I had him the year he lost in the playoff, and he coughed it up, and he lost to Sergio. And I've been mad at Justin Rose ever since. So I said, it's payback. Pay me back in this 125-1 this year, and I'll let it go. But, Handy, for the most part, when you're looking to handicap the Masters, current form is a little bit of it, but course form is most of it. You got to look at who's got a history, a track record of playing well at Augusta, right?
Yeah. Well, if you get your money back from Justin Rose and that works, let me know what you told him, because I got to call in to Ricky Fowler. He owes me plenty money. Max, what's that? What's that? Yeah, I know. What's that stat you had just a second ago with Justin Rose in the first rounds? He's been dynamite in first rounds at Augusta.
I think four times he's been the first round leader, right?
Yeah.
7 times in the top 5 after first round as well.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So just tell him that every day is tell him that every day is Thursday. I guess maybe that
exactly.
Maybe that will work. All right. Well, we'll see what happens with the Masters. We're big Masters fans here as well, so it's going to be kind of dominating us for the next couple of days. Taking a look towards the NFL draft, we're seeing a lot of these numbers coming up. We're 2 weeks from today. I don't know if you've zeroed in on any of that yet. We're starting to get our stuff together on the draft.
Yeah, I love the NFL draft. I have since I was a kid, and I love to bet it now. And I do mock drafts, and I've had a lot of success betting the draft. I've just done some just a little bit of work on it up to this point, not too much. I did make a bet on the Saints to draft a quarterback with their first pick at plus 350 a couple of days ago. There's just so much noise around Shedeur Sanders and the Saints that I don't know if it's a smoke screen, or who knows how the hell things are going to turn out if there's a trade or what's going to happen. But I thought that was a price worth taking because of look at Cam Ward. Right now, everyone thinks Cam Ward's going to be the number 1 pick to Tennessee. About a week ago or 10 days ago, Abdul Carter was an odds-on favorite to be the number 1 pick at, I think, minus 150. And now Cam Ward's like an out price, minus 2,000 or something, that it looks like it's a foregone conclusion he's going to be the number 1 pick. I think the draft appears to be, I would say, the most mysterious at the number 2 spot. Is it, are the Browns going to go with Abdul Carter, or are they going to go with Travis Hunter? Because right now it looks like Andrew Berry, the GM in Cleveland, wants to go with Travis Hunter. So I think that's kind of the key when you're betting this thing. You got to figure out what the Browns are going to do at number 2.
I agree, and I think it's Travis Hunter, but I don't really know. I'll tell you what really changed my mind about draft odds and being able to follow this stuff. It was an NBA draft. It was the Paolo Banchero, Jabari Smith draft, where up until literally 20 minutes to the thing started, Smith was the favorite and Banchero was way down. And in about 2 minutes, Banchero went from, I think, plus 200 or plus 300 to minus 5,000 when the news broke. I think it was a Woj bomb broke. So things can change in a hurry. You're right about that. Yeah, real quick, that Saints ticket to draft a quarterback, was that in the first round or just period?
With their first pick
at plus 3.
Saints first pick.
Okay, with their first pick.
Will be
first pick.
Yeah, with their first pick, and there's 8 different positions listed or whatever. And quarterback, I think I thought plus 350 is worth a shot based on everything I've been reading. But typically I have more draft bets at this time, but the Vegas books are just not putting up draft props. That was one book
they're scared to death.
Oh yeah, they're scared of it because
they hate it. They get killed. My friend, I'm going to tell you this for probably the only time since we've been doing radio. I hope you don't cash that ticket. I really do. I'm not crazy about the Saints taking a quarterback at number 9. I mean, I'll get my mind straight with it if it happens. But I'm gonna hope that you got to shelve that particular. Max is rooting for you. He's a big Shedeur Sanders guy. I'm nervous about that pick. But Max is a big Shedeur Sanders guy.
I mean, it may not be number 9. I've heard they might flip with the Raiders at number 6. or they could trade down. I've actually heard some draft analysts say they think Shedeur Sanders is probably worthy of a pick in the 20s and not in the top 10. I don't know. You got draft analysts who are all over the board on Shedeur Sanders. Some who really like him. It seems like more who don't. But it's when it comes to betting the draft. Sometimes it's not about your opinion. You just got to try to figure out what the team is thinking, and that's how you have to bet. And it looks like the Saints are still, searching for a quarterback. I don't know if Sanders is going to be the guy. Maybe it's somebody else too. Maybe it's Jackson Dart. Maybe it's Quinn.
It
Ewers.
may be Jackson Dart. It may be at 9. I couldn't see Ewers, but it could be Jackson Dart. It would be a little bit of an upset, but I can't rule it out. If they take Shedeur Sanders, I'll get my mind straight with it. I think there's a chance that he could be a really good NFL quarterback. It's not really about Sanders as much for me. It's about where the Saints are as an organization and other needs that I'd rather them put together more of a solid base before they go out and draft their quarterback of the future. But if it's Sanders, I'll make my peace with it. But if they trade up to get Sanders, now you're making it worse. There's just too many things that they need to surrender draft capital. Matt, we appreciate it. We'll let you go watch the Masters, and thanks for the time. We'll talk to you next week.
Okay, you bet. Thanks.
Matt Humans from VSiN. You smiled there, Max, when you saw it with the Shedeur Sanders.
We can tease it a little bit, Charlie. There's something pertaining to that 9th pick and maybe what the Saints will do. We had a Todd McShay mock draft that got released this morning.
Another opinion. We'll talk about that when we come back here. Snow's Seafood and Steak, Airline Highway at 74 in Gonzales. Live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
That Electric Man, BatonRouge.com. Electric work, Charlie, is not a do-it-yourself stuff at home. No. You got to call out a professional. You can call them out anytime. Yeah, they take calls 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Quality service for installations, lighting, electrical service, you name it, whatever you need. So, need a little extra lighting for your office or for your home space? No problem. Guaranteed scheduled appointments. When it came to my house, it was right on the dot. Call ahead of time, 10 minutes later, they are there. Insured, free inspections, and estimates. We're licensed professionals, so you get quality service when we're dealing with anything from child-proof outlets, electrical safety inspections, dedicated computer circuits, or electrical code updates. ElectricMan, BatonRouge.com. That's 372-5356, 372-5356, or ElectricMan, BatonRouge.com.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Back here at Doe's Snow's Live at lunch. Max, is it safe to say that Gary Player is the best, the most in shape 89-year-old person on the planet?
He is very spry for being nearly 90.
He looked. He looks like he could go out there and. What do you think he'd shoot? Honestly,
on this golf course right now.
On this golf course right now,
doesn't have the distance.
No, could he break? Could he break?
I don't think he could break 100 now.
No.
But it's impressive. You see the age differences.
Remember Steve's? He's 89.
I don't know. I don't know if he really plays. He's got a decent swing. He hits it okay, it looks like, but I can't.
For 89 years old, he could beat any other 89-year-old on the planet.
Probably.
I make him the favorite.
Yeah.
All right, Tom McShay's draft. You got some interesting info here in regards to the Saints.
Yeah, so his mock draft 3.0 came out earlier today, and I haven't gotten a chance to listen to his podcast where he explains some of this. I listened to a very small clip, but I've been listening to a lot of his content lately. He's not with ESPN anymore. He's with The Ringer, so it's a little bit hard to find. But the first 4 picks are as we discussed yesterday. Titans taking Cam Ward, Browns taking Travis Hunter, the Giants with Abdul Carter, and the Patriots going with LSU's own Will Campbell. He also, I mentioned this possibility because I've kind of heard some of his content. He's talked about this possibility of the Jaguars actually bucking the trend and not taking Mason Graham at 5, instead going with Jalen Walker out of Georgia. So he's got that's the first real surprise he's got with Jalen Walker going 5th. I would not be a fan of that because I'd rather see Jalen Walker slip to the Saints. But nevertheless, I think either way, he's got Mason Graham getting taken by the Panthers at 8. It seems like a lot of the guys that I'm kind of interested in with the Saints in terms of defensive front guys, defensive linemen, the Panthers would probably take because they have a need there too. So he has them scooping up Graham, but if it's Graham who goes 5 and Walker's available, I wouldn't be shocked to see Jalen Walker getting taken with the 8th pick. Ashton Genty 6th, Armand Membu 7th, but the Saints will take a quarterback, according to Todd McShay. This is his mock draft, but he thinks that it's Jackson Dart who gets the call, which we'd heard earlier a few weeks ago from Mel Kiper and some other mock drafts. They've kind of backed off of that. I haven't heard as much Jackson Dart love for the Saints, whether it be information-based or whatever, but we're seeing once again a mock draft with the Saints, this time with Shedeur Sanders available, instead opting for Jackson Dart, who Todd McShay actually mentioned he believes is the better quarterback. And ultimately, the reason I listened to this very quick explanation, he explained that he believes Jackson Dart is a better fit in a Kellen Moore offense. When you think about Kellen Moore, the quarterbacks that he's worked with at the NFL level, he's been to Dallas, he's been to the Chargers, and he's now coming off of a Super Bowl victory with the Eagles. He worked with quarterbacks Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts, all more physical, bigger arm quarterbacks that can run a little bit, but physical, big arm guys, and Shedeur Sanders not really fitting that mold quite as well as a Jackson Dart.
If the Saints took Jackson Dart at 9, I would have a lot of the same questions that I do with Shedeur Sanders as far as is this guy a long-term face of the franchise, your quarterback of the future. If you take him at 9, you're going to have to put a lot of time and money into him. Is he worth that investment? I'm not sure. It's not on both Sanders and Dart for different reasons. I'm not exactly positive that they're for sure going to make it and be long-term starters, or they're going to be busts, or they're going to be career backups. Does one of these guys turn into essentially Mac Jones? They'll be handed a starting job. 2 years later, you say, okay, really what you are is a backup quarterback in the league. Now, that happened to Geno Smith, and he turned around and became a starter. That happened to Sam Darnold. He turned around and became a starter. That happened to Baker Mayfield. He turned around and became a starter. So it's not – and Mac Jones may want to be a starter somewhere down the line for another team. I can't completely rule that out because when he subbed in last year for Jacksonville, you saw some stuff. It'd just be a tremendous risk at this point. I can't tell you it wouldn't pan out, and I would probably get my mind straight and say, okay, I know that Derek Carr is not going to take the Saints deep into the playoffs. Maybe this guy will, whether it be Sanders or Dart. I think there are safer picks. I am as certain as I can be that Tyler Warren is going to be a really extremely productive tight end in the league. If Campbell gets to him at 9, I'm certain as I can be that Will Campbell's going to play 10 years as a starter in the NFL, maybe more. I think Mason Graham, who I don't think is going to get to him at 9, is going to be a Pro Bowl defensive lineman. Okay, the range of where Dart and Sanders could end up is a lot more volatile, and I just don't know that I don't know that this is a time to swing for the fences if you're New Orleans. Go get me some building blocks. Go get me some guys that have really, really, really high floors. I would be looking for high floors. I think Will Johnson's got a high floor. The injuries concern me a little bit, but I'm pretty sure that guy's going to be a starting cornerback in the league for a long time. There are other Mike Green we talked about yesterday from Marshall. I'm not certain about him. Okay, he could be a big impact guy, but I'm not certain about him. They're places. Kelvin Banks, the tackle from Texas. That guy's going to be a starting offensive lineman for a long time in the league. Where they are right now as a franchise, where I think they are as a franchise, which is way different from where they think they are as a franchise. Give me a bunch of high floor guys. Give me a bunch of guys that I know for sure are going to be able to play. Like Trevor Penning was a risk. He looked good. The measurables were there. but he's had a kind of a so-so career. And a year ago at this time, we thought he was a complete bust. He's come a long way in the last year. I would just be looking to add – I'm not trying to add that missing piece to put you over the top because you're nowhere near over the top. Give me some solid guys. Give me some guys that I know are going to be good football players, and maybe some of them will be great. But guys that I'm as sure as you can be before a draft, because there's always guys, man, I thought that guy was going to be great, and he ended up being a bust. Andre Wadsworth comes right to mind. Give me some of those guys. Put a bunch of those guys on this team before I take a swing for the fences with somebody like Sanders or Dart. Again, maybe they do that, and I'll say, okay, well, here's your lottery ticket. Maybe you cash it. But I would go in a more conservative direction, which I don't expect New Orleans will do.
No, I look, I understand the premise that Dart might have fit more of what Kellen Moore has done in the past, at least in the NFL. I would be extremely disappointed if they take Dart over Sanders. I think Dart might be the fourth best quarterback in this class behind Tyler Shook of Louisville. I'm not sold on Jackson Dart. We've seen him in the SEC.
I'm not either.
We've seen him enough. I don't think he's going to be a great quarterback in the NFL, and he's gotten a lot of love. He's got some measurables. He's got some arm strength. I get it. I have a lot of question marks when it comes to his decision-making, when it comes to just his overall accuracy and ability. I would be very disappointed if Shedeur Sanders was available and they took Jackson Dart. But I honestly, it doesn't have to be Shedeur Sanders for me. I made that push yesterday on the show, but it could be an edge rusher. It could be anyone on the defensive front. That would be great because they have a big, big need there. I'm not as big a fan of Will Johnson. I don't think he's a sure thing in the NFL, but I understand you have a real need there. I'd understand that one. Offensive tackle, like you said with Kelvin Banks, or maybe you have Mimbu or Campbell fall to you. If you have two tackles for a solid period of time in Fuaga and whoever you draft, that's great. That's a great corner piece to build upon because you have a right tackle right now who's under contract for one more year, and you don't know what you're going to get out of him anymore. So I think any skill position on offense outside of quarterback, I would be disappointed in. I don't think you need a running back or receiver this early in this class. And I disagree with you a little bit on Tyler Warren, who might go top 10, and he might have a great career. I just don't think the Saints have a real need there just yet, or shouldn't spend a 9 pick on it. But yeah, I'd be very disappointed if the Saints took Dart over Sanders, to be honest.
My take on Warren is it a need? No. I don't. This is the one draft that the Saints have had in my, recently, I'm going to say my lifetime, because there have been other years where they were terrible, where go get me the best football player at his position. I think Tyler Warren is the best football player at his position. And it's not, okay, so does he move the needle more than a quarterback? Not if the quarterback hits, of course not. But I think so differently about this roster than what the hierarchy there does. I think that the Saints, if they started building now, if they started trying to fix this mess right now, might be a playoff team in 2027. Okay? I don't think of them as a playoff team this year. They would have to have a remarkable draft and a lot of things fall their way to be a playoff team next year. I think more in terms of, if I draft Tyler Warren right now, I don't care about Jawan Johnson. He's a decent player, but they overpaid for him, so whatever. I think if I draft Tyler Warren right now, that in 2027, when I may have enough other pieces around him, that guy might be a Pro Bowl tight end. Might even be an All-Pro tight end. And then when I get my quarterback coming, he's like, look, here's this third-year tight end out of Penn State who nobody can guard. Or if it's Will Campbell or Mimbu, I say, hey, you know what? In the 2027 season, and I know it's a depressing thing for people to hear, hey, you don't think they can contend for 3 years? No, I don't. Okay? And the more you make moves like signing the Jawan Johnsons of the world for, $10 million a year, and I think Justin Reed's a really good safety, but do I think that, they should have spent that kind of money on him? Probably not. He's probably worth it for another team, but for this team, would I have spent what they spent on Chase Young? Probably not. Would I have redone Alvin Kamara's contract? Absolutely not. I mean, I was looking up stats this morning. There's 6 running backs that were more productive than Alvin Kamara last year that were in for a fraction of the price. So do I build the way they build? No. So that's when I think about Warren or Banks or Howard or something. Give me somebody that going into their third year is just going to be a dude. And you need a lot of other dudes. And if you put Dart or Sanders into this position, you're asking a lot, man. Yeah, because as soon as Derek Carr starts to do what Derek Carr does and or gets hurt because he's later in his career now, there's going to be calls to put whoever they draft into the lineup, and you're going to put them in there with this supporting cast, and the rookie going to be in a bind. I mean, he's going to have to be off the charts good to overcome that.
And if you really want to take a quarterback this class, maybe you can wait and get a Will Howard too, or something like that. A couple other notables in this mock draft that made some waves. 15, Shedeur Sanders, not to the Falcons, who have that 15th pick, but rather the Browns trading up to keep Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter together. I floated this idea in my brain for a couple weeks, and I didn't really think it would ever gain traction. But I've heard some Browns fans talking about this over the last few weeks, and Todd McShay's buying in to maybe the Browns, I do expect them to trade up to get a quarterback at some point. If they take Travis Hunter, they have the 33rd pick, the very first pick in the second round, so they could go up and it helps you contractually and you go get a quarterback. But going all the way up to 15 to take Shedeur Sanders, that would be kind of akin to what the Texans did a couple years ago, picking back-to-back, getting both C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson. That's worked out wonderful for them.
I like it better for Cleveland than I do for New Orleans.
And then the Steelers not taking a quarterback. They go with Nick Emenwari from South Carolina, the safety. But Jalen Milroe going 24th to the Giants, who trade back up to get that pick. Milroe, look, he's going to go earlier than people think. I think our listeners would not expect Jalen Milroe to go early, maybe in the first round. He's getting that invite to the draft. That tells you he's going earlier than people think.
Okay, I'll eat my words on Jalen Milroe if he becomes a quality starting quarterback. Jimmy and I have had free-for-alls over Jalen Hurts, okay? I liked Jalen Hurts 100 times more than he did, okay? But never in my wildest dreams did I think Jalen Hurts would be a Super Bowl winning quarterback, okay? I liked his college game, and I thought that he would be a useful player in the pros, but I never expected him to exceed, these expectations like this. For Milroe, I like Milroe considerably less than I liked Hurts coming out of college. I told you yesterday, if he was into a slash role, I would think Jalen Milroe could be a really valuable guy. I don't see him as a starting quarterback in the league. I don't think he puts the ball in enough tight windows consistently enough to be a starting quarterback, an upper-level starting quarterback in the league. I don't think he's a starting quarterback in the league. Obviously, a lot of people disagree with that. We're brought to you by Total Maintenance, AC and heating, generators, electricity, plumbing. Total Maintenance, your one-stop shop. And for all of these things, one of South Louisiana's oldest and largest AC and heating companies since 1980. Their slogan has been service today, every day, so nobody's got to go to sleep hot. Over the years, Total Maintenance has expanded their operation into New Orleans as well as Baton Rouge. Full staff in both markets, authorized dealer for Carrier, American Standard, Daikin, and Rheem AC units, Generac and Cummings generators, and for all your electrical and plumbing needs as well. In Baton Rouge, 480-1000. In New Orleans, 841-3300. Right now, you get the Jimmy on special. You mention anything about this show, they'll give you $100 off of those AC checks right now. Service today, every day at Total Maintenance. Live at Snow's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Don't forget our friends at Total Diamond Performance. That's right, the Total Diamond Performance summer baseball and softball skills camps. 2-day, 3-day, 4-day options. Camp format allows players to receive detailed instruction on all facets of the game that will assist them in becoming the total baseball player. Contact Nick Schneider at nick@tdpbaseball.com to register today. Total Diamond Performance summer baseball and softball skill camps to accommodate your schedule. 2-day, 3-day, and 4-day options.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Snow Seafood and Steak in Gonzales on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And we got a big bird from Colin Morikawa, an eagle at number 13 to vault him into a share of the lead at 3 under par, along with Scotty Scheffler, Tyrrell Hatton, and Justin Rose. Max, what you seeing on the golf course right now? You say it's playing a little harder than you thought.
Just a little harder than I expected. The Masters is a hard golf course, but there's not a whole lot of weather protecting the golf course right now. It's not super windy. It's not supposed to be all week. There's some rain coming in tonight, which may soften the golf course, and maybe that's part of the reason why it's playing a little bit more firm, a little more difficult than I expected. They've got some tough pins out there. They've tucked some pins in some unfavorable positions. I'm curious to see how 16 plays. I haven't seen anyone go through there yet. They've got a back left pin, which is going to be a little similar to what we see on Sunday traditionally on 16, the par 3.
Rye's been through there. He bogeyed 16.
Yeah,
that's one of the leaders.
I think they've softened that slope a little bit. We see a lot of hole-in-ones there on Sunday. We've actually seen some odds where they're minus 200 to have a hole-in-one this week. I actually bet the no on that because I heard they softened that slope a little bit, which should make it a little bit less favorable, I would imagine, for hole-in-ones come Sunday. But, yeah, just considering they had a whole lot of rain on Monday, and I know they can control that a lot. They've got a sub-air system that can really suck all the water out of the golf course. But even then, there's a level to which they can control it before they get it, too far gone. So I thought it would play a little bit softer, a little bit more score-friendly. But we're seeing a lot of bogeys and doubles, which is the great part of this golf course. Is there are birdies to be had, but then you've got to avoid those bogeys and doubles that bring you right back.
First half dozen groups are in. We got a couple of golfers in the clubhouse at 71, Michael Kim and Davis Thompson, both at 1 under. That puts them in the top 10. Zach Johnson, a former champion who came out and birdied 2 of the first 3 holes, finishes at even 72. That's in the top 25. Some of the bigger names that are teeing off here in the next group, John Rahm, Wyndham Clark going in this group along with Tommy Fleetwood, and then Sam Burns is part of the last group with Sepp Straka that goes off here in about 5 minutes or so at Augusta. Some of the other notables that we're watching. Where was I? I'm going through my
Jordan
list.
Spieth.
That's where it was. He went the opposite way. We're going through our consensus picks. We had Colin Morikawa was one of our consensus picks, so he's at over the top. Spieth was one of our the next level. He was with a couple of our contributors. He was right there, and then he had a problem at 10.
10th hole, always plays difficult. He made a double bogey, missed a pretty short putt there for bogey. But then he bounced back. Very, very difficult. The hardest hole in the golf course traditionally, the 11th hole, made a long putt for birdie, so he is back to 1 under par. He is on the famed 12th hole, the par 3 over the water, which got Jordan Spieth in a lot of trouble, if you remember, where he lost the lead to Danny Willett.
Yes, Max, I do remember that. I watched my money go right into the creek.
I was heartbroken.
He
has
water.
missed the green on that hole, but thankfully it's not in the water. He's just over the green, so he'll have a chance to get up and down for par to stay at 1 under par. Another consensus pick that we had between myself and Wes Reynolds, Patrick Reed is 1 under par through 14 holes. And then one of the other consensus that we had, Robert McIntyre, off to a bit of a rough start today. He is 3 over through 13.
Tell his what he pulled an Ernie Els today.
Yeah, not quite.
Not quite as bad.
Ernie Els, you're calling back a moment where he 7-putted, I believe, from 3 feet on the very first hole of the whole tournament, which was quite hard to watch.
It
frankly.
was I think it was the only thing I've ever seen worse than that was Van de Velde at the Open when he took his shoes and socks off and rolled up his pants, and it's like, no, don't stop it.
What are you doing?
Ernie Els was past his prime at this point. He wasn't really going to contend in the golf tournament anyway, but he made like a 10 at number 1 or something like that, a 10 or an 11.
I think it was 11.
McIntyre didn't quite pull that, but this was bad.
No, he 3-putted from about 3 feet on the 6th hole. The 7th hole. That's not great, but it does happen on the PGA Tour from time to time. That's not something we never see. And on this golf course, it is a reminder that even these short putts are very difficult with all the slope, all the speed in these greens. You can't take anything for granted.
Did you see it happen, or you just read about it?
I did.
Okay, so he's trying to tap in from 3 feet, essentially. And how far past the hole did he push it?
Pretty much had the same thing coming back the other
really?
way.
Okay,
Yeah,
so in my head when
footer.
you said that, I'm like, well, he's going to tap in. He misses it. He catches it downhill, and he runs it 12 feet past or something. He misses it, but only about 3 feet?
Yeah, pretty much 3 feet, 3 feet. Missed it both ways, which like I said, I don't want to make a big deal out of that because it does happen
Kind of
week
a
to
big
week
deal.
on the PJ Tour. It happens more than you think. The conversion rate from 5 feet on the PJ Tour is about 75%. I think people think it's higher than it actually is.
I would have thought higher than that.
So, yeah, we see putts like this.
Well, 5 feet and 3 feet. I mean,
3 feet, you see about, I'd say, 87, 90% putt made range. But it does happen where people 3-putt from 3 feet. But it's going to happen more at this event where there's just so much slope and speed in the greens.
You ever have that nightmare where you've missed all your classes and you got to go take the final, okay?
Still
or you
happens,
you know you missed the final, you overslept through the final, and I think every student has had that, that nightmare, okay?
I did it once, so that I did it
Oh,
really
you
bad
actually
once.
did.
So it doesn't help the nightmare.
I have that nightmare about 2-3 times a year where I'm not going to graduate or whatever. I know a lot of people have had that. This has got to be the golfer's version of that nightmare, okay? That you would 3-putt from 3 feet in any tournament is something that you wake up twice a year and go, oh, my God. To do it at the Masters in the first round, I mean, the only thing worse would be if you were in contention and you did it in the last round.
That's
right?
a good comparison because honestly, I can still remember one of the bigger tournaments I've ever played in. This very second hole of the tournament, 3-putted from 3 feet, and I was just scarred the rest of the tournament because I was so scared of doing it again, and it really affects you mentally. So yeah, that is not something you want to think about.
This is the poker. You're in the World Series of Poker, and you get aces cracked 3 hands in. Well, okay, that's it. I mean, I'm shoving my chips in the middle with the best hand, and biggest tournament of the year, everything's gone. McIntyre's not going to sleep tonight, man. There's just no way. Take our final break, come back, wrap things up here. It snows live at lunch 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Snow Seafood and Steak in Gonzales on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Coming out to Snow Seafood and Steak here in Gonzales. The beef tenderloin kebabs are on your Thursday lunch specials menu, along with the blackened mahi salad with the blood orange vinaigrette. Tomorrow, if you're observing, Zapp's catfish. It's the fresh catfish strips rolled in that mustard batter, fried golden brown with the jalapeno tartar sauce, which is absolutely fantastic. The shrimp green salad also tomorrow here at Snow's. The leaderboard at the Masters, Terrell Hatton now after a birdie at number 12 is by himself on the lead at 4 under par. Scheffler, Morikawa, Rose all at 3 under, 1 shot back. Couple of updates during the thing. Jordan Spieth, who was one of our consensus pick, he had another
bogey, back to even par, and as you mentioned, Morikawa, that's the one we're following so far. Russell Henley, 1 over through 3 holes. Patrick Cantlay, 1 over through 4. Just a couple of notables that we had mentioned.
Spieth is not boring, okay?
Definitely not.
Tomorrow we're at Rufino's. Thanks to the folks here at Snow's for joining back in the studio. For Max, I'm Charles Handiger, saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN.